A thin silver light crept over the horizon. The grasses trembled in the shallow breeze. A group of early humans, lean, sinewed, hair-coarse as bramble, stood clustered by the shallow riverbank. Dawn painted the sky just enough to quell the fear of pitch darkness, but not enough to banish every shadow. The clan moved in silence, alert to every rustle in the scrub, every splash of water, every croak of a frog. Among them was Kala, a young woman with eyes sharp as flint and a heart restless for more than mere survival. Her older brother, Oric, stood beside her, muscles taut, holding a wooden spear roughly fashioned by a fallen acacia limb. Behind them, elders sat watching, children huddled near mother's legs, hunters scanned the land ahead. The tribe had hunted by this river for moons, gathering fish, roots, and meat from small game. But yesterday a horror. A mighty predator, infamous among the clan, had struck. A leopard or something like it, mottled for blending into shade, claws reaching like death itself. When the beast had leapt, they'd scattered. In the havoc, Kala's mate, Tarak, had been dragged off, his fearful cries swallowed by the jungle. Oric tried to follow, spear high, but a misstep, Tarak vanished. From that moment, the clan shifted. The air tasted of vengeance. Hunger mingled with grief. They had always feared the predator. They had always respected the dangers all around. But now, the predator was no longer just threat, it was personal. In the cool morning, Kala held her grief close, a hot, knotting thing in her chest. Oric placed a hand on her shoulder. "We must do more than mourn," he said. "We must strike back." The elders glanced at each other. Revenge was dangerous. But Tarak had not been the first to fall. Others had been lost. Children, hunters, mothers. But no one had dared follow the beast deep into the wild beyond known tracks. No one had dared to risk everything. Yet sorrow can sharpen courage. The clan resolved, a hunt would be organized. Not for small prey, but for the beast. Some said it was folly. There were tales, of sharp teeth, of silent gates, of eyes like coals in the night. Those who had escaped spoke of terror so intense their bones shivered for nights after. Over the next moons, the tribe prepared. Spears were sharpened. Fires were kept alive at night to ward off predators. Scouts watched tracks. The beast's prints, deep, padded, claws too long, were found at the riverbank, in the shallow mud near fallen trees. The elders tracked its feeding grounds. Oric led groups to carry prepared pits, traps, deep depressions lined with sharpened stakes hidden beneath foliage. Kala learned stealth. She crept among grasses, her feet soft on soil, ears straining. She watched the beast's patterns, where it drank, where it lingered at dusk. She felt the nights more keenly, every crack of branch, every distant howl. Her grief cooled into determination, and her fear fed knowledge. On the night of the hunt, the moon hung low just past full, its light sufficient to expose shapes, but shadows still deep. The clan gathered. Kala stood with Oric, skin painted with ash and ochre, their bodies still beneath cloaks of animal hide. Heart pounding, Kala's ears caught every sound, the drip of river, the murmur of insects, and finally the soft padding of something large moving through underbrush. The trap was set by a tree heavily laden with vines, a pit concealed in leaves ahead, sharpened stakes hidden near its edges. Hunters lay in wait, breath shallow. Kala held a torch, flame flickering, casting her face in flickers of light and shadow, resolve in her eyes. Oric nodded. Then the beast appeared, roused from its hunting, coming to the river for water. It moved in sinewy grace, shoulders rippling, muscles unseen beneath fur mottled with scars and mud. It paused, nose lifted to sniff the air. Kala's torch flame quivered. The beast's eyes glinted, fear or challenge, she could not tell, but its ears turned toward her. It crouched, ready to spring. Kala held perfectly still. Oric braced spear. Hunters around waited. Then, unexpectedly, the beast charged, through brush, over the pit. A shout, a flash of light. Torch dropped. Spears rose. A hunter thrust. The beast recoiled, roaring, claws slashing, snagging hide and flesh. The pit's edge crumbled. One hunter fell, clawed, bleeding. Kala watched as the beast nearly escaped, bursting through vine, shaking free, but Oric leapt, spear driven deep into flesh. A final howl, echoing, then silence. Kala stepped forward, torch in hand, light dancing across the beast's body. Its eyes, dull now, reflected her grief, her vengeance. She knelt beside the carcass, pressed her hand to its flank, wet, coarse, breathing its last. The tribe gathered. Heads bowed. Some wept. Some thanked the spirits. Kala raised her voice in ancient prayer, for Tarak, for all they had lost, for balance restored. Yet under victory lay a shadow. The beast had touched the clan deeply. Kala felt a pang, not triumph, but emptiness. The revenge had been brutal, but Tarak was not returned. The wound remained. Nights would still be cold. The forest still dangerous. The river still wide. She looked up at Oryx. "We have avenged him," she said. "But at what cost?" Oryx's eyes were bright in the flickering light. "At cost," he agreed. "But now we know we can fight. Now we know we will not cower." And so they returned to the riverbank at dawn, blood on spears, voices hushed, but among them, in Kala's chest, a new thing glowed, fierce pride, tempered by sorrow. Weeks passed. The river flowed as always, slow and relentless. Rain came and soaked the forest floor, sunlight bounced off leaves and rippled in pools. The clan moved, hunted, foraged. Children laughed when fish jumped. Mothers gathered berries. Kala walked barefoot through wet grass and mud, her scarred hands working wood and hide. She carried Tarak's absence like a weight. Some nights she dreamt she saw him, across the river, across the grasses, calling, reaching. But every dawn, his absence struck anew. Among the elders, there was talk. Revenge had cost them one of their own already. Hunters had fallen. One child had wandered too close to the trap's pit and broken her leg. The land had shifted. The predator's rivals had noticed. Other beasts were stirred by blood. The threat had not ended with one kill. Kala shared these fears with Oryx. They sat by the fire under a sky full of stars. "We must change," she said. "Strong arms alone cannot protect us." Oryx nodded, gazing into embers. "We must grow as a clan, not just hunt, but build, plan, learn. The forest gives dangers and gifts alike." And so the clan turned to innovation. They dug deeper pits, but marked them more carefully. They taught the children to watch tracks, to smell change in the air, to know when the wind shifted. They began to fashion new tools, not just spears, but sharpened stones to cut and scrape, to build shelters raised off the ground. They discovered fire, small, controlled. It smoked sentries at night, its blaze tantamount to life itself. One night, Kala awoke to screams. She leapt up to see light flickering across trees. A rival clan, hunters from beyond the high ridge, had crossed into their territory. The invaders snatched at water pools, wounded prey animals, ignored their warnings. They laughed at signs, the sharpened stakes, the pits, the ancient burial markers that the elders had placed. They came under moonlight, torchlight, dozens of them. Oryx roared alarm. Hunters of Kala's tribe rose. Mothers clutched children. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Kala seized a sharpened stone, heart pounding, grief twisting with the fierce need to protect what they had built. The rival clan pressed forward. They claimed the riverbank. They threatened violence. One young invader swung a heavy club at Kala. She ducked, her skin tasting smoke and fear. Oryx charged, his spear poised. The forest echoed with roaring, yelling, the clash of bone and wood. Kala saw the rival's leader, tall, wide-shouldered, cruel in expression. He grabbed at the horn hung around Oryx's neck, a symbol of their ancestors' victory over the beast. The leader snatched it. Oryx lunged. The leader struck back. Kala threw the sharpened stone. It grazed the invader's cheek. Blood spurted. A shout. The clan surged. It was no longer just revenge against beasts. It was vengeance for home, for memory, for everything they preserved. In the chaos, Kala's quick footwork saved a child from falling into a trap pit. Hunters from both sides fell. One of Kala's, one of the invaders. Smoke from torches curled into the night sky. Blood stank heavy. But Kala and Oryx fought side by side. Mothers joined in, children cowered then fled, then cried out encouragement. At dawn, dust and ashes settled. The invaders retreated, dragging wounds, leaving behind the dead. Kala stood among her people at sunrise, sunlight burning gold. Oric by her side, blood on his spear, grief in his eyes. But the river still flowed. The trees still bore fruit. The clan was intact, though priced in pain. Kala gathered the wounded, binding cuts with strips of hide soaked in water, leaves for salve. The dead were laid to rest beneath the ground, painted with ochre. Turok's memory honored. The beast's body had been eaten or dispersed. Nothing remained beyond fading marks. In the days that followed, the clan was quieter, more watchful. Children no longer ventured unaccompanied. Songs at dusk spoke of loss, but also of resilience. Kala found solace in teaching the young how to read the stars, how to track shadows, how to sharpen stones not with anger alone but with care. Late one evening, Kala sat by the water's edge. The moon cast long pale fingers across the river. She looked out on its surface, seeing the ripple where fish broke the mirror. She thought of Turok, his laugh, the curve of his hand. Though she had avenged him, the hollowness remained. But also a seed of peace. She had helped her people survive, grow stronger, learn not only how to kill what threatened them, but how to build, to protect, to live. Oric knelt beside her. She rested her head on his shoulder. "We carry him," she whispered. "In every heartbeat, every lesson." He touched her hair. "Yes. And with each dawn, we do more than survive. We choose to live." In the soft hush, the river murmured. Cicadas sang. The forest breathed. Life 3.2 million years ago was harsh, brutal, yet somehow, in its struggle and loss, it taught them vengeance was not the end, but a turning point. Kala closed her eyes, listening to the echo of the beast's howl, the laughter of children, the pulse of the earth beneath her feet. She knew the story would be told, of grief, of brutality, yes, but of courage, of care, and the fierce flame that rises even in the darkest night.